Pokémon Emerald got an insane upgrade in this ROM hack called Altered Emerald. From new moves and changed areas to a difficulty increase and even more. On top of that, I tried beating this game while only using Grass Type Pokémon. Before I jump into the story of how I started rethinking my life choices by playing this game, why? Let's dive into the rules of the challenge. This is not a Nuzlocke. I usually am used to Nuzlocking Pokemon games, but for this challenge I wanted to do something different. I can only catch one of each grass type Pokemon available in the game. I'm not allowed to use items in battle, there are level caps for each gym, and my battle style is put to set mode. With these rules, I tried beating Pokémon Altered Emerald with the least amount of whiteouts possible. The game starts out as normal, in the back of a moving truck, because apparently Mum didn't have any space for me in the front of the truck. Is this child abuse? Anyway, right off the bat, the game looks different. This is one of the many changes this ROM hack brings us. When we get the choice to pick our starter, I'm reminding you of rule number 1 of the challenge. This is grass only. So Trico it is. We name our lettuce and defeat the Zigzagoon that is harassing poor Professor Birch. Not long after, we have our first battle with May. She's no match for our precious lettuce though. Then it's time to start catching some new team members. I catch a Lotad and a Bellsprout and name them Brownie and Potato respectively. I ran with a nickname theme for this run because it would make the story more compelling and would feel some euphoria when they perform well and be proud of our little friends. And Lettuce just died. What a pathetic little sh. As this is not a Nuzlocke, we luckily get to heal Lettuce back up and make her think about what she's done so she won't die again in the future. As I was saying, we swiftly move on with the story and manage to catch a Hoppip, Shroomish and Seedot and add them to our team. We get to Rustboro and waste no time heading into the gym. As we are only playing with grass types and Roxanne's gym specializes in rock types, this gym was an easy sweep for Potato. After receiving our first badge, we get to this same thing that happens in normal Emerald and save Pico from a Team Aqua grunt. Beats the Hoppip, dies through the grunt's Poochiana, setting up with Howls, and from this moment on, Cha and I decided it was a smart idea to start counting all the deaths that happened too, so we could see how well I was doing. We managed to beat the Aqua Grunt with relative ease, but I noticed that the Grunt wasn't a big fan of the way her boss managed things. Boss told me this be easy, all I had to do was pilfer some parcel from the pigs at Devon. Capitalist scum. As you can tell, this ROM hack changed up the dialogue a bit. Someone in chat pointed out that even the signs in the routes and cities had some interesting text on it too. South Rim probably means something bad on Urban Dictionary. We then move south to head to Briny Shack to sail off to Dewford. But not before we encounter something strange. We walk out from Petalburg Woods to see our way out is blocked. I decided to head back in and walked into a different area with a strange shrine. I decided to put an Oranberry in it and managed to encounter a wild Celebi. I caught the mythical Pokemon with some small struggles and moved on to Dewford. Once arrived in Dewford with our team of delicious foods, we set out to add more friends to our team. Dewford Island adds a new area where you can catch both Tangela and Execute. But as you can see, there's something strange about this Execute. It's only a single egg. Well, that's because it's insanely broken ability in this game. Reflector. This ability reflects every single special type move and shoots it back at the enemy. This will become a very important part later in the story. We go through Granite Cave to give the letter to Steven and he gives us Steel Whip. Oh, wait. Metallurgy? What's this? Apparently it's a new move that does damage and adds steel typing to the enemy Pokemon. This game is full of surprises. After our little chat with Steven, we move on to the second gym. Here, we fight Brawly. This battle was a little harder than Roxanne. I set up a Reflect with Omelette the Execute to combat the physical attacks from Brawly's fighting types, while almost dying to a crit Focus Punch from Metatype. So I decided to be safe and switch into Celebi, who surely is able to sweep this with Fairy Wind, right? And we win. Does this thing only have reversal and counter? I forgot reversal! Luckily, Trico can finish it off with a single quick attack for our second gym badge. Got the knuckle badge, get it? I showed you my knuckles for the knuckle badge. It's funny. Chat, please laugh. I'm being so funny. Please, thank you. We move on to Slateport, where we encounter Team Aqua for the 3rd time. Just like normal Pokemon Emerald, we fight them off in the Slateport Museum and move swiftly on. After beating a couple trainers on Route 110 and Route 103, without any hiccups, we run into our rival May. I started to battle with no real expectations, but that's when Weepinbell wrapped my Execute in a nice blanket and choked it to death. And my Grovyle, and my Lombre, and my Celebi. My Bellsprout was able to take it out, but the damage was done. How could I recover from this? With only 2 Pokemon left, I had to beat a Fire-type Combusken. Bellsprout was pecked to death, and the only hope of beating May laid solely on Mushroom the Shroomish. Here's how that went. Let's go! After that tense fight, I luckily didn't walk into any more trouble on the way to Moorville. We don't rush straight into the gym, but instead choose to catch a couple of new Pokemon in the grass on Route 117. Here we catch Chikorita, Oddish and Sunkern, and we name them Spinach, Blueberry and Popcorn. With these new additions to the team, we roll up to Gym 3, Watson's Electric Gym. Luckily, grass types resist electric moves, so this shouldn't be too hard. God damn it! Bruh. Brilliant. Anyway, let's fight Watson. He has 4 Pokemon that took out 3 of mine. Electrode exploded on my poor omelette, killing itself in the process. Elekid made quick work of my Lombre, and I started to panic. We might wipe here, chap. First wipe coming in. The fact that most of my Pokemon were brutally underleveled also didn't help with this. Luckily, Mushroom, who now evolved into Breloom, had the move Sand Tomb, which could hit electric types for super effective damage. We took out Elekid and Magneton with relative ease. But Watson's Manectric was too strong for Mushroom to take it out by itself. I came up with a plan. I Leech Seeded with Celebi to get in some chip damage each turn, so I had a better chance of Mushroom taking it out with Sand Tomb. The amount of times this Manectric's Thunder Wave fully paralyzed my team was insane, to be honest. It made the battle almost unbearable. Luckily, Mushroom could power through eventually and kill it off with a Mach Punch after its HP trickled down with Leech Seed. This secured us the 3rd badge with 25 total deaths so far. No whiteouts yet, which is a positive, I guess. After defeating Watson, we had a long trek to go before we could fight Gym 4. I caught a Paras who would actually come in handy during the run, as Parasect is a ghost grass type Pokemon that is really bulky in this game. We named it Oyster and moved on to Mount Chimney. On the way to the mountain, nothing special really happened apart from a couple unfortunate deaths. That number really started racking up from here. We stormed through Fiery Path and Route 111, all the while having more unfortunate events happen on the way. I think trying to keep the death count under the level cap was too much of an ask for me in this run. Then we get to Route 112, Ashen Road. This route is just like Pokemon Emerald, filled with ashy grass and a couple of trainers. As I was still kind of underleveled for the most part, I wanted to quickly fight most of these trainers and gain some good XP. That's when I ran into this guy, youngster Jaden. He only had 1 Fearow. That shouldn't be a problem, right? Think again. As his name suggests, this Pokemon struck fear into my team. Brownie the Lombre got obliterated by a Night/Slash critical hit. Death 35. Then Spinach the Bayleaf got destroyed by Fearow using the most furious Fury Swipes I've ever seen. Fury Cutter demolishes Omelette. Hatchy the Celebi withstands a couple more hits, but also falls down to Fearow's immense power. Lettuce gets eaten like a salad by the bird, and Blueberry the Oddish didn't even stand a chance to begin with. 1 Fearow completely flattened my whole team, and I was at a loss. But I needed to continue, and so I did. Without learning from my previous mistakes apparently, because I rushed straight into another awful battle. The first double battle here weakened my team so much that when Pokemaniac Wyatt sent out his Charmeleon, I already felt like I stood no chance. Luckily, I was able to get rid of the Fire Lizard, and out came a Rhyhorn, which I thought would be easy enough to kill because of its weakness to grass. But Grovyle missed its attack and got attacked by Rhyhorn's Fury. Due to poor timing on a switch, Lombre went down before it could take it out, and sadly, Oddish had no choice but to surrender to Rhyhorn's Fury attack. Whiteout 2. This went downhill quick. I went back and threw myself at the Ashen-filled road again, this time with success. We made it to Falaba Town, and I think that might have cost me about 3 years of my life. We don't hang out for long in Falaba, as we have more important matters on our hands. We make our way all the way to Meteor Falls, where the 2 evil teams meet up to steal a meteorite from Professor Cosmo to stop climate change? Together? What's this? Why are Team Magma and Aqua working together? I'm confused. Anyway, we need to head over to Mount Chimney now to stop them wanting to stop climate change. Wait, am I the bad guy in this story? I don't even know anymore. Let's just go to Mount Chimney. Oh yeah, while we were exploring the rest of Meteor Falls, we stumbled onto a double battle just outside the caves and wiped to them. That's number 3. Maybe I should start not being underleveled for these fights? We now really move on to Mount Chimney. We get to the top by riding the cable car and have some grunts to defeat. The grunts luckily weren't too big of a deal and we could move on to Admin Tabitha. He took out 2 of my Pokemon, but this fight was also not too hard with Omelette and its ability. Gligar for some reason didn't realize that special attacks reflected back onto itself and took itself out that way. Now came Magma Boss Maxi. Right before I got up here, I managed to evolve Paras into Parasect, which made it part Ghost type and would become a great asset for the team. Maxi's first Pokemon, Mightyena, goes down to some setup by Execute and Celebi with a super effective Fairy Wind. The Golbat coming out next smacked Celebi down to the ground and killed it with a single Air Cutter. Lombre goes down to the same Air Cutter. Mushroom dies too. Was this another wipe waiting to happen? I stand at Omelette, and to my surprise, the Golbat has no physical attacks, and slowly whittles itself down by its Air Cutter bouncing back to kill it. Maxi's ace Camerupt came out, but he also had no attacks to actually hurt the little egg. Camerupt went down, and Maxi was defeated by a single little broken egg. Good job, Omelette. Our half-beaten down team walks down Jagged Path and makes it safely into Lava Ridge, the town of the most anticipated gym fight of this playthrough, the Fire Gym, led by Flannery. We waste no time and head into the Steamy Gym, where all of the trainers actually made no real effort to do any significant damage. Only 2 of my Pokemon died somewhere along the way, and we made it to Flannery quite easily, but she was a different story altogether. First came out Camerupt, which has the ability Stamina. Every turn it takes damage, it ups its own defense. Lombre does huge damage with Whirlpool, but then... Am I dead? Oh shit! I send out Omelette to reflect the overheats back to itself, but it missed. We both switch our Pokemon out and her Charizard sets up Sunny Day, which is terrifying because it has the ability Solar Power, which cuts HP every turn Sun is up, but also makes his fire attacks brutally strong. Celebi goes down to the Zard with a single Fire Fang. A critical hit Fire Fang kills Parasect, making it fall asleep in the process due to Effect Spore. Eventually, Charizard goes down to Leech Seed and Solar Power, cutting down its own health. Camerupt comes back out and has no answer to a Reflector Execute. Weepinbell finishes off Camerupt and leaves 2 Pokemon in Flannery's team. Flareon comes out and destroys Weepinbell. Omelette also goes down, and so does our chance of beating Flannery. Lombre dies to a Flame Wheel. The only chance we have left is Breloom. It hangs on by healing itself with Strength Sap, but Flareon is just too hot, and Breloom falls in love with Flareon. Oh, what? No! No! Don't simp! You dumb fuck! Don't simp for that Flareon! One more overheat kills off the Breloom, and we have to go back to rethink our strategy. At least we can say our deaths are nice now. If you want to see if we can beat Flannery on our next attempt, make sure to click on screen to watch the next video, or subscribe to the channel if it's not out yet.